Hey folks, Pastor Sean coming to you with today's daily devotion. Yesterday we talked about life and death is in the power of the tongue. I want to talk to you about a word from the epistles today that says, lay hands on no man suddenly. What the writer is telling us here is that we need to be very careful who we lay our hands on, who we put our hands on, who we pray over, who we allow to pray over us. So we're going to talk today about circle of influence. There are people who are going to be in your life for a season. They're going to come in, they're going to speak positive, they're going to speak life, and then they're going to move on. But there are also going to be people in your life for a season who come in and try to destroy and speak destruction. We have to be very careful who we allow in that circle of influence. Jesus was very specific. He had the 12 disciples. They went everywhere with him. But when it came time for serious matters, when it came time for the Mount of Transfiguration, where it came time to go into Jairus' daughter's room, when it came time to go further in the garden, when those things happened, Jesus looked to his inner circle, those who he was really speaking into, Peter, James, and John, and they became the circle of influence. They became voices that spoke into Jesus, but more importantly, Jesus spoke into them. And we read about Peter, James, and John being with Jesus here, and Peter, James, and John being with Jesus here. There were 12 disciples, but those three were in that circle of influence. So, my question to you today, on the first day of June, is who are you allowing in that circle of influence? Who's speaking into you? And are they speaking life? Because if they're not speaking life, if they're not speaking positive, if they're not speaking growth, then you might need to pray about it. You might need a new circle of influence. You might need some new friends. I think about the people that I pray over, think about the people that I worship with, the people that I go to church with, the people that are my friends and my flock there at the church. And I love them all. I speak positive into their lives. I try my best to speak as much life into them as possible. And then there's an inner circle. There's a group of guys that I pray with that speak into my life. They're influencers who pray for me, who lay hands on me, who worship with me on a more intimate basis. And I have to be very, very careful who we let into that circle. Why? Because you don't want anybody laying hands on you suddenly. And you don't want to lay hands on somebody suddenly because you don't know what's going on behind closed doors. You don't know what's going on in your life. You don't know what voices are speaking into their lives. Now, I'm not saying don't pray for people. That's not what I'm saying. What I am saying is don't allow the wrong voices to influence your life. Look for the positive. Look for the growth. Look for the spiritual balance. Look for the fruit of the Spirit. I watched a friend of mine yesterday. He was on a podcast on a Facebook Live, and he was talking about the difference between the gifts of the Spirit and the fruits of the Spirit. And he said the same thing that I've said for years. He said, I'm looking for fruit. I'm looking for those people who have love and joy and peace in their life. He said, those things you can't fake. Either you have it or you don't. Sometimes the gifts can be faked. Sometimes the gifts come from unreliable sources. But the fruit of the Spirit, it's hard to fake that. It's very hard to fake love. It's hard to fake joy. It's hard to fake peace or long suffering. Those are the true marks of someone who needs to be in your inner circle, someone who needs to be a voice of influence in your life. So, think about that today. Lay hands on no man suddenly. But the reverse of that is don't allow anybody, just anybody, to lay hands on you. Be very careful who you allow in your circle of influence. So, today on the first day of June, enjoy the day. It's a beautiful day already. Hope you have a magnificent day, a great week. I love you. I'm praying for you. I will see you again tomorrow. God bless you as always, is my prayer.